When you think of a millionaire status, you might think of the multi-million-dollar house, the fancy Lamborghinis, the vacations, the yachts, but a majority of millionaires don't live this way. Even when you think of Warren Buffett, it is not about the expensive cars and the vacations that we see on social media that really indicate that someone has wealth. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at 5 ways that millionaires are actually living a lot cheaper than you are, and some of these ways might surprise you, and if they do, drop it down in the comments. Now, of course, when you look at the average millionaire, according to Dave Ramsey and Ramsey Solutions, leading a wealthy life is kind of broken down into 5 very basic and very simple habits that most people do not do. Starting with number 1, millionaires read and acquire and reinvest in themselves on a regular basis. Now, this is something that a majority of people do not do. They said even when you look at the educated, meaning having a bachelor's degree or higher, almost 50% of them never pick up another book in their entire life. Now, for a majority of millionaires, and again, thinking of Warren Buffett that reads an average, I believe it is 8 hours per day, they want to get caught up on the reading list. They want to focus on reading biographies, leadership, entrepreneurships. They always have, and you're kind of a lifelong learner. When you look at a lot of people that are millionaires in that millionaire status, they are always surrounding themselves by people who are going to influence them in a positive nature, and they are also learning. Second one we look at is the delayed gratification. This is where millionaires kind of break in, and really most of us can't do it. It is the keeping up with the Joneses, staying up with the neighbors, shopping for expensive possessions, fancy cars, new homes, new cars, clothes in hopes to impress others with the status that they have, which again, if you're in a millionaire status and you have that millionaire mindset, it doesn't matter what other people have. And if they do have something that you like, you know what? There's a point in time where it might be worth it. Millionaires buy older cars. They buy used cars. They live in less expensive neighborhoods. They focus on their savings more than their money to buy things and setting up themselves for success tomorrow. It's like a large down payment on a dream home or a very robust retirement, or even leaving money to your kids. In my situation, when we look at the investment portfolio, I have a big chunk that is in a traditional 401k, but I also have a much bigger chunk that goes into a Roth. With that Roth money, that is money that I never anticipate using. That is going to be money to actually build generational wealth. When you think in 10, 20, 30 years down the road, if I can get a couple $1 million into that Roth, that means that through the growth factor, giving that to my kids at some point is going to be a game changer for their entire lives. Even if it goes to paying for college for my kids and my grandkids, it's going to make a big difference again with the rest of their life. Keeping up with the Joneses is a never-ending process of really that self-gratification. Somebody gets a new car, you get a new car. They buy this, you buy that. It's something that is never going to end until you're in a ton of debt. With that being said, number 3 is they don't get in debt. When you look at all of the millionaires that Dave Ramsey has really talked to, the biggest misconception that we see, average millionaires see debt as a tool, which is completely not true. Now, that is not to say that there are some individuals that leverage debt, that use debt, that really do have it under control and have it together. But for a majority of us, if you're carrying debt, it is going to be a load that you're taking, a load that you're paying a lot of interest on, which essentially can really negate the wealth building that you're doing. It is really being on one of 2 sides of the fence. One side is where you're investing money, you're getting a return, banks are paying you for the money you have, you're getting rewards, you're doing everything right. Or it's the other side of the fence where you're kind of debt financing everything and seeing and paying interest on a regular basis. Debt is the biggest obstacle to building wealth. And honestly, millionaires don't get into debt. That is something to really note. If a millionaire wants something but can't afford it, they don't go into debt just to buy it. If they can't afford the car, they'll use the car that they have until they get to the point when they can buy it. And I even think of Ramit, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, when a lot of people kind of make fun of him as a millionaire for driving his older car, but that's exactly what it is. It is not about using the buy now, pay later, the delayed gratification of using the credit cards to actually buy it today. It is having the money to buy things. Now, once upon a time, when you think years ago, good story is people used to just buy things. When you start looking at mortgages, they were only eligible for 2 years. That's right. If you're looking to buy a car, I know things did cost a lot less, but if you were looking to buy a home, 2 years was what you could take your mortgage out for, which is kind of crazy. So 1 year you take it out, the second year it's paid off, and that is it. Saving money is kind of a lost art, in my opinion. Even when you look at people that are buying vehicles, usually it is zero down. A lot of people that buy houses, it is the bare minimum that they're putting down, even zero down with first time home buyer programs, which is kind of crazy. Number 4, millionaires budget. Now, this is very true. Not everyone uses a budget. Majority of people, even when I surveyed it here on our channel on YouTube, most of the people did not have a budget and don't use a budget. A lot of people see budgeting as a very negative thing. Now, again, you can kind of talk and look at it any way that you want, but as long as you're maintaining the money that's coming in, the money that's going out, and you have a plan for where your money is going, even if you don't call it a budget, even if it's a spending plan, once you have a plan and you know where your money is going, this is going to help you reach your financial goals. And that's exactly what you want to. When you look at people and when you look at expenses, it is really weighing if you have the ability to pay for it, or are you going to have to build or borrow or steal, whatever it is, to go ahead and buy this, which I don't recommend because that can also lead to jail time. But overall, to build your multi-million-dollar net worth, you have to make sure that you have a budget and you know where your money is going. Like I said, regardless of how you track this, exactly if it's on a spreadsheet, if it's on a piece of paper, if you're using, the Every Dollar app, doesn't make a difference on exactly how you're doing it. It is just knowing that you're doing it. And of course, what millionaires do, and they do very well, is giving generously. So when you look at millionaires and when you meet millionaires, most of the millionaires understand the importance of giving wealth to help others. It could be families, it could be foundations. They give and they give generously to people that need it. Again, it could be members of the family, leaving legacy, building generational wealth. And that is one thing that I, again, absolutely want to focus on is when I went to school, when I went to college, I had to pay my way. My wife did the exact same when she went to school. It was really scrimping and scrounging, borrowing money in student loans, paying that back on debt and getting it paid back as soon as possible. But now for my kids, knowing where I came from, I want to be set up to the point where we can cover all of their cost of education. That way they can actually start the debt-free journey without having all of those student loan debts, without having the credit card debt and all of the expenses that come with it. And when you think about it generationally, from generation to generation, if they are not starting out in debt, it is going to give them the ability to actually start saving and investing much younger in their life, which means the cycle can continue as we continue this snowball. In addition, when you look at millionaires, they don't overspend. Again, when it gets to budgeting, when it gets to knowing exactly where every dollar goes, Dave Ramsey has said this before, where let's say you have $1 million or $2 million in an account, you're getting a 5% return. You live on that 5% return. It is about living within your means, which a majority of people are not doing nowadays. They are supplementing their income with credit card debt that we see on a regular basis. And it is just digging a bigger and bigger hole always, which is why we're in $1.13 trillion of credit card debt, which is kind of astronomical at roughly an average of 22%. Average Americans carry about $9,000 in debt per person, which in my opinion is just completely crazy to think that's exactly where it came. But all right, guys, so let me know in the comments what you guys think about the way that millionaires are living, and I'll catch you in the next video.